See, they're still there, but I don't know who's managing them.
Their career died because of him, right? He was their manager.
Again,
and he held them back.
Maybe you might say that is indeed true, and that's now, Sasa. You see, when you transition from being a DJ when you're playing for an audience to a person who's managing music because you have a so-called musical ear.
I think I want us to quickly address, like this question that Mika brought up about what PINYE said, and that's
Gengetone.
Yeah, that's like music that Kenyan music that cannot be played internationally.
No, I think he said Gengetone, to be specific.
Or he mentioned Gengetone.
He said Gengetone.
He said Gengetone.
He said Gengetone.
But his original statement was Kenyan musicians do not produce quality music to be played outside the country. Then when he was asked, he refers to Gengetone.
So then
it's the same. We know he has a hatred for Gengetone.
So it is Gengetone, right?
So it's Gengetone.
Okay, even if it's Gengetone.
Yeah.
Do you agree with what we just said, that Gengetone is this supposed to be an issue of the musicians, so that the music cannot be played as international DJs cannot play it? So for me, my question was simple. If you call yourself a good DJ the way PINYE thinks himself as a good DJ, what does he mean international DJs cannot play it? International DJs, like if you go to a Tiesto Manini, will play music that serves the place they're in. The only way that music gets out is if the people who listen to that music play it out and share it with people. We have DJs here, Kina Kucha, and other DJs who play Gengetone outside, and we've seen Gengetone actually transcending and being liked by other people. We saw videos during the pandemic, wale wazungu walikuwa wanashot from across buildings wakimba wa mlambezi wa mwenyezi. So it shows it's catching up that people actually caught it. If you look at Nigerian artists like Naira Marley na Gengetone vitu zoimba kuna difference. It's the same. Tabia mbaya doesn't make sense. Sounds like difference. But why are they crossing borders? Well, you can say that Kenyan artists are producing things that don't cross borders. So my question was, is that really a genuine statement, or is it just a statement from somebody who's lazy to pushing Kenyan music outside the country?
Well, like the PINYEs and generally that generation of DJs, they come from a very different place, and they come from a very different like upbringing in music. When they were growing up, there was no such thing as urban Kenyan music. So I think how do I put it? I understand the
Stop trying to be polite.
Distaste. I understand the distaste they have for especially Gengetone and this other music. But you see, also part of the problem is that there was no, like as generations were changing, there was no proper mentorship to this younger generation. So this younger generation decided, you know what, we are going to come up with our own music, and we don't care if you like it or not. And whatever they came up with was popular. And, and younger people, not even just younger people, even slightly older people, like started coming to enjoy it. So the music that, Kina PINYE grew up with was Easy My Soul, Nanini. It's taken them a while to warm up to Kenyan music.
But okay, and no pun intended. PINYE is my boy. We actually went to school together. Look, let me tell you something. Part of what you say is correct, but and that sounds like there's a lot of bias behind the appreciation of that type of music. Mm-hmm. But if we're gonna say that different music, because I didn't grow up in that era, then that different music is not hitting me, then then I would say, even for, like, let's say our generations, our parents used to listen to Lingala all the time, and we were like, in fact, we used to even get those tapes and erase them and work our own music. Now we're the first people who will be running to listen to Lingala, right? But we, fast forward, let's say now the original music, when Kenyan music was, like getting popular, when we had Kina Kapuka, Kina Nonini were coming out. In fact, for the longest time, you could not even play Nonini around Paros. Paros would kill because of the way the content of the music, the uchafuness of the music, that it did not ingia. But now Nonini is considered a statesman in the musical industry and has opened doors, which is now allowing this genre, Kina Bogi Genje and so on, to be who they are. So the fact that PINYE is, in my opinion, stuck within that area because he wants a certain type of music or produced a certain way, or the music to be laid out a certain way. That's the way these jamas identify. You cannot take them and put them inside a bag, so to speak, and say, okay, this is the way you people need to be. No, that's not how music is. Creatives are creatives. There are some people who draw, and the art, you look at it and you're like, this is nonsense, but there's going to be somebody who's going to appreciate it. And just because you don't appreciate it and you're an influencer, I don't think it's fair for you as a if you ask me, a non-creative. I mean, DJs have their own thing that they are doing. That doesn't mean that you should then say, okay, I'm going to take you and put you in this box, and you should be stuck in this box, and you can't come out of this box. And oh, by the way, you're the people who are messing up the Kenyan industry, music industry. I don't think that's right. That's, I think he overplayed his hand on this one, but time will tell whether he was right or he was wrong.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Uno, before we get Kidogo, let me ask you a question. Your boy over here, your boy is a music manager, right?
Which boy?
He used to manage your Octo, Uyo PINYE.
Okay,
He used to manage Elani, and he used to manage Octo, right?
Yeah.
And I think he has some other artists. How many of his artists have suspended the borders and have music displayed?
Okay, say that again. How many of his artists have done what?
How many of his artists have transcended the borders and have music that is played internationally? How many of his artists can you clearly say that they have music that any international DJ will just play out of the blue in a party?
I don't know if he even has any, because I don't know if he still considers himself managing Octo. Octo went on his own, but I know he opened the door for Octo.
Okay.
He still has
what happened to Elani?
Elani, I guess they're still there, but I don't know who's managing them.
Their career died because of him, right? He was their manager.
Again.
And he held them back.
Maybe you might say that is indeed true. And that's now, Sasa, you see, when you transition from being a DJ, when you're playing for an audience, to a person who's managing music because you have a so-called musical ear. And remember, he had that show he was doing. What was that show? The Beat or something like that, right?
The Beat on NTV.
And a lot of people say that Walinyanyaswa, now that show, meaning that he only played certain types of things.
Because at that time, the Beat was like YouTube. That's where the music was coming out.
And again, even if we go back to the day of, do you remember Samadoka?
Samadoka, yes.
Remember, he also used to have a music show, right? Sponsored by Coke and all that, right? But he played the music that he wanted.
Is it, yeah.
And see, the thing about it is that if you own the show, it's you running the show. Guess what? You get to choose who you want.
You become a gatekeeper,
right? Yeah. Just the same way as what's his name? The guy of Soul Train, Don Cornelius. He picked who he wanted, and there's some artists who he never picked. And it's not like those jamas were not hitting, they were not good, or they were not popular, but they just didn't go for what he thought that he wanted to present. Okay. And that is at the discretion of that person who's presenting it. Now, we've switched eras where you're not running a show, you're just out making a comment, and you're being asked as somebody who's been in the industry, and you're giving your own personal opinion and saying, okay, I don't think that this, and that's why we are not here. Because then now you're saying that the work that the Sauti Souls have done, or the work that Kelly Brown did, or the work that some of these other people did. What's her name? Who sang Pata Pata? The lady of Pata Pata was Nani? Miriam Makeba, right?
Miriam Makeba.
Yeah. Some of those people took Kenyan songs and actually pushed them and went international with those,
Malaika, yeah.
and went international with those songs, right? But it does not mean that our Kenyan artists are stuck in there. It's just how somebody pushes those things out there. And I think that it's a disservice to the music industry for somebody like my boy to be there, and granted it's his own opinion, but in a way it's like once you put that stamp there, then a lot of folks are listening to you and say, okay, since PINYE said it, then that's what the truth is. You know what I'm saying? And it's not true when you're out on the streets. Because when you're out there on the streets or you go to the clubs, this music is being pounded in your ear. I mean, we were in Kenya. Man, this music is, in fact, it gets to a point back at away when you're unasema, hi, okay, enough is enough, you know? And one thing I did notice this time around is there was not that much West African music that was played. Even though there was some, and it was specific ones, like some, not like the way it was years in the past where you walked in and you're like, oh my God, it's West African music all night long. No, they actually were equally, you know, picking out the Kenyan music. And COVID, in my opinion, from what we have seen, brought out a lot and a ton of very, very, very good music from Kenyan artists. So it's PINYE's opinion. I don't agree with it.
Okay. Let me say this. You know, when you're not a creative, when you're not in the studio, producing is one thing, but you know, writing, when you get into the nitty-gritty of trying to produce a song, when you're trying to do stuff, it's different. That is one. Two, and I think even us in the studio, we realized when Sailors came out,
Hey,
tuliwapuuza.
Maze,
Tuliwapuuza.
we did. What's a Sailors? Calligraph.
Calligraph too.
We're like this chap over here with accent. What the heck? Toys of it too.
And then all of a sudden,
alafu akakuwa fan. Ali alikuwa anasema jamaa na
so at some point, I think, you know, it's one of those, and I've learned this from Muzi, because, and I'm gonna give Licha a chance to comment. Musicians, artists, the creatives, they are in their own system, their own world.
Yeah.
Una get, and you not being one of those, you really cannot, whatever, you know, you can't really comment about being a DJ if you've never been a DJ. You know, if you've never really played soccer, if you haven't really been to understand and comprehend what the process is, you know, you can take a chill pill. So PINYE on this one, I disagree with him, because you cannot say that Gengetone, because on what basis did he say that? Was it because of the content? Was it because of the music or whatever it is? Because we have seen people, because if it's a language barrier, we've had music.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is. It hits.
Yeah.
Right? If it's content, there are people who are going to jive to that. There are people who are going to jive to that, no matter what. It doesn't matter in what part of the world, even in Turkey, Russia, Botswana, it doesn't matter. They will jive with the content. You know why? Because they will, I can hang with that. Yeah. And we have seen that here. So you cannot say that. You know, the best thing is what he can do is say, you know what, let me give the platform. Because remember, it's not like whatever these guys from Nigeria, whatever they're singing is different from what Sailors are singing. It's not, there's no difference. It's only that what they're doing is they are putting it in a bow and whatever and packing it lipstick. But guess what? It's the same damn thing. It's a pig. It's only that this one, ingurue kona ni lipstick, unapewa tu ni nguruwe.